The following is rated not safe for work. It contains strong language, adult situations, and lots of spoilers. Discretion is advised.
In the criminal justice system, cinematic-based offenses are considered especially heinous. The dedicated attorneys who investigate these villainous films are members of an elite squad known as the Reels of Justice. These are their stories.
Order, please, order. The Reels of Justice is now in session. Judge, you're the next one. Oh, that's mean. I am Luis Rodriguez presiding. You'll rise for the Honorable Judge Rodriguez.
Be seated. Welcome to the Reels of Justice. Today we are hearing the case of The People vs. Final Destination, a 2000 supernatural horror movie that follows a group of teens that cheat death only to find out that death is not done with them just yet.
Ooh.
For those of you unfamiliar with our court proceedings, we are here to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. As always, in this courtroom, films are to be considered excellent until proven awful, and the burden of proof lies upon the prosecution to prove beyond a shadow of a reasonable doubt that this film is guilty. Mr. Maynard Bangs, you are representing the prosecution. You may present your opening statement.
Okay, Your Honor, but this is the final destination. Thank you. My opening statement is dedicated to someone very unappreciated, the star of our film today, Death, who breathes heavily down all of our necks, warmer and wetter each day. This one is for him, or her, or they. Why discriminate? The graves are dug, it's time to croak. I'm waiting here with scythe and cloak. An airplane load of people on death's list. They take their seats, now here's my chance to put Disturb back in Disturbulence. If I miss a single one, God will be pissed. So sweaty guy and alty girl and jockey douche and other sweaty guy, your final destination is at hand. 'Cause I'm wiping out this jet plane, gotta do what a reaper's gotta do. Oh babe, I love this job. But something's wrong, one starts to stand. He's caught a whiff of my lethal plan. Was it 'cause I sang that stuff out loud? Now he's caused a fuss, he's made a scene. This busybody clairvoyant teen. How can this interference be allowed? Now bickering and arguing, Miss Cleo here ruined everything. And right on time, security's on the scene. Now they've been kicked off the jet plane. Well, shit. Oh, babe, I hate this job. 'Cause they got kicked off the jet plane. Now I gotta kill 'em one by one. Oh, babe, I love this job. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Bangs. That sounded like a trauma response, but I'm going to keep going. Appearing on behalf of the defense is Dr. Joe. Please present your opening statement.
Okay, I can't sing, so it's not going to be as cute as that. But I wanted to spend some time tonight celebrating the film more than strictly defending it, because it's awesome. And I just found out some very exciting news that they're going to have a screening of Final Destination this Thursday in LA. And I think that speaks to how relevant and interested people are still in the film. So that's really exciting. I will also tell you really cool stuff about how Final Destination transcends time and culture, how it successfully balances scares and surprises with genuine suspense, and the strong legacy this film has, among other things.
Thank you, Dr. Joe. Mr. Bangs, you may proceed with your first exhibit.
All right, thank you. My first objection, that screening was weeks ago. So useless information to me now.
Mr. Banks, please, time is a flat circle.
I do appreciate that. I think part of what struggle I had with this case was wrapping my head around the problem of death going back and kind of recovering his tracks and retracing his steps, and why I'd have a problem with it. And one of the first things is killing these people later doesn't actually help anything, right? Them surviving any longer than they were originally fated to abruptly changes basically all of existence. These are not simple loose ends we're talking about that can just be tidied up. Several of these characters end up surviving for days, weeks, months sometimes, and every single moment they exist, they are changing the course of whatever was predestined before. So clearly, fate is capable of working on the fly and adapting. It's malleable. So why does death even bother coming back to kill these people again? It doesn't put the ship back on course. That's impossible. It's only creating a third branch of the timeline. Now, fans of the 2004 film The Butterfly Effect, starring Ashton Kutcher, would understand the ramifications of doing anything, even minuscule, in the past, and the effect it has on the course of events. Also, that episode with Homer and the toaster. I wish I hadn't squished that fish.
Dr. Joe, is Death's plan short-sighted?
I would say that Death is only trying to accomplish its own goal. It's not trying to write all of the things in the universe that could happen in all the alternate timelines. It's just trying to do its job. It wants these people dead, and that's what it's going to do. So I don't think it's fair to put the responsibility on Death to make sure everything else everywhere else is just so. It's just trying to take care of its own business.
Right, we have to blame God for that.
Another one of those death apologists, huh, Dr. Joe?
Damn right.
My problem is, too, it never ends. You know, they can never fight back or be free from death that now pursues them, right? I mean, even as that we found at the end, death is going to come back for them. And the survivors of this film actually do end up dying. Alex dies off screen before even the next movie. Clear dies in Final Destination 2 in a hospital explosion. You know, this is not like Freddy or Jason, who you can escape or kind of defeat or contain. Their fate is inevitable. They are going to die. It's just sort of like, how long can they put it off, you know? But I think the big question we've got to ask ourselves when it comes to Final Destination, was there standby seating? Because if there was any standby seating and 7 people got off, well, 7 people could have got on that weren't supposed to die that did. Right? So how does death throw that kind of thing? How does it try to reset that calculus or keep any kind of balance after that?
Well, they closed the door after the parties got off and nobody else went in, so...
Maybe. Again, that's what I'm saying. Standby seating would be hard to say. I think a plane that size, somebody is waiting.
Yeah, but to Paris.
Exactly! To Paris.
It's smelly and gross.
You've been.
Well, if we didn't see it happen, it didn't happen. You know, it's not on the film. I'm not going to address a hypothetical.
Ooh, wiggly, squiggly.
Yeah.
We squirmed right out of that. Now, I think we all know a hallmark of the Final Destination series is the premonition sequences, where, you know, it kind of starts all of the movies, right? We see the first tragedy that's avoided, and how it's going to be undone and what everyone was saved from. And that's kind of a hallmark of this whole series. And I think it's kind of damning that the Final Destination 1 premonition sequence is really so weak in the pantheon of Final Destination movies. I think universally everyone agree that, you know, number 2 has the best premonition sequence, right? It scarred an entire generation of kids who saw that movie. You can't pass a log truck on the highway without it being referenced by anyone. You know, a relatively lower percentage of people reference Final Destination every time they fly in an airplane. Fact check me. But number 3 is pretty great. It's got the roller coaster, and it's got Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Number 4 is a little bit iffy. It's the NASCAR one. Number 5's got the bridge collapse, which is excellent and kind of a highlight of the whole series. And number 6, Bloodlines, has got the great restaurant collapse. And so even if you look at a lot of rankings, you won't find Final Destination 1 very high on anyone's list. Decider had it 4th out of 5. That was before Bloodlines was out. CBR, Comic Book Resources, had it 5th. Collider had it 6th. So the problem is it's the first in the series, so it's just kind of relatively tame. You know, I think a good premonition sequence wants to introduce each character and then kill them off one by one in the accident. And so as you see each person meet their fate, you're kind of being introduced to them. But in Final Destination 1, it's so rushed that you really don't have time to see anyone but Alex. He's the only person you really focus on. You see a little bit of Mrs. Lawton, and then the 2 girls who wind up dead anyway. But you don't do that great formula the rest of the series does, where here's all of our 8 characters, here's all their first deaths, and now you get to watch them die again.
Awesome. I'm so glad you brought up some of those points. I'm so excited to tell you that the accident scene, the very first scene, the disaster scene, was so effective that it was included in a peer-reviewed journal article that studied trauma. I think that's pretty impressive. They didn't do that with any of the other films. They did it with the first one. So
they should have done it with the second. Everyone would agree that the log truck is more traumatic.
It's only happened one time.
But all of those rankings...
We're here to litigate this movie, not the sequels.
Also, all of those rankings are based on opinion. It is a fact that this film was used as part of a trauma study in a peer-reviewed journal. And it's the first of its kind. It took a swing. It did something different. So yeah, the first one's not going to be the second or the third or the fourth and so on. It was the first one. That's what makes it so special, because they tried something new. I
don't know if it's something new if it's the first one, but I think that's the only thing that makes it special is that it's the first.
I'm glad you agree.
Well, I'm just saying, I think the only reason you watch Final Destination is to move on to Final Destination 2 and then 3 and 4. You watch it because you're going to probably just binge the whole franchise. If you're going to watch any of them individually, I don't know that it would be number 1.
No one's waiting to get to number 4. Come on, let's be honest.
No, 4 is a bump in the road. I'd say 4 and 1 are on some similar levels. They're not as good as 2 and 3, for sure.
Joe, you sound outraged. Please
I am.
Voice your intent.
Well, this film, it is considered also, this is also in writing. This film has documented in dissertations, the peer-reviewed journal article, book chapters, a whole book dedicated to it. And one of the things that I encountered in doing my research to prepare for this is that this movie is considered a new subgenre, that it kicked off a new subgenre of the slasher film, which is the neo-slasher, and that era was from 2000 to 2013. So
I don't think I would agree with that at all. I mean, if there's a neo-slasher
it's in writing,
era, it was kicked off in
documented.
96 by Scream. Anyone can write anything and have it published. I've had some stuff published.
It's a cited publication that's been cited multiple times, though. So it's accepted by many if they're citing the work. It's not just one opinion out there. It's been cited multiple times.
Well, then what are we calling the Scream era of slashers? Like I Know What You Did Last Summer and Urban Legend and all that stuff that predates 2000's Final Destination. Is that a pre-neo slasher?
Yeah, it's a different subgenre, and I don't want to talk about it because it's not what I'm litigating today.
No, you're absolutely right. It's not at all. Now let's move on to some performances. There are really no good performances in this movie at all. I like Devon Sawa, as a friend, but his career really went nowhere for kind of a reason. But of all the bad performances, I think the worst is unfortunately Sean William Scott, who I like, but he is horribly miscast as Billy Hitchcock. One, he doesn't look like a Billy Hitchcock, right? Like he looks like a Tyler Rogers or a Kyle Radmore. You know, he plays jockey, bully kind of types. Remember, he's in a hockey movie at one point. Because he's got a snappy delivery and athletic build. You know, he's Stifler in American Pie. He's pretty athletic in The Rundown with The Rock too. But this role as Billy was written to be a nerd, and I understand that then they cast Scott afterwards, but go back and change the script. Sean William Scott can't play your nerd. He kind of tones down his body language a bit, but he puts on this whiny, affected voice that doesn't feel natural at all. And it only produces one result, and that's comedy, which Sean William Scott is good at comedy, but that's not the intention in this movie. He's not supposed to really be funny like that. He's supposed to be bullied by Carter, and he's just not believable in that role at all.
He is bullied by Carter. He gets assaulted by Carter. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Sean William Scott, he's not victim weight. He can stand up to Carter. He wouldn't get shoved by him. Like
Victim weight.
Victim weight, exactly.
I love that.
Make sure you don't get to victim weight, Sean. So I know you don't have to worry about it, but some of us do. And he's above it. Is the point? He's got the build for it. You don't even believe him getting bullied off the plane. I wasn't even fighting with anyone. It's completely unnatural from him.
I was so happy to see him playing against type. It was a very different character than Stifler, and I thought that was fun to see. I thought he was sweet and adorable. I loved him. So that's an opinion thing. I'll say that the film, Devon Sawa did win a Young Actor Award, a Saturn Award for Best Performance by a Young Actor, and Ali Larter won the Young Hollywood Award for Breakthrough Performance by a Female. So there are performances that were award-worthy. Whereas the Sean Scott situation is, again, just an opinion, but it's facts that some of these other people did win awards for their acting.
Awards are a lot like citations in published journals. We don't tend to really give them a lot of credit or weight. Anyone's allowed to just hand those things out,
Okay.
Now, it's time for another one of my patented, very famous Quick Quibbles segments. And for the listeners at home that wrote in and said that my Quick Quibbles segment bore a striking resemblance to Big Ben's Nitpick Corner, I'll have you know it is a very different and intellectually distinct idea. So, here we go. Quick Quibbles. 1, no way that flimsy metal could possibly cut off Stifler's head like that. If it was light enough to be thrown by the momentum of the train, it's not going to cut clear through his spine. It might cut his aorta, he might bleed out, but it's not going to fly and cut his head right off. And that's unfortunate because there's plenty of ways to make a speeding train dangerous. They were right next to a speeding train. Million ways to kill someone. Did not need to break physics like that. No way that you could just throw a magazine at a fan and it's going to cut off a bunch at all. It's not a blender or something. It's a fan. It's a box fan practically. It is not cutting up all those little pieces of the magazine in finely little bits. Those things aren't razor sharp. And why does this movie suddenly switch from whole visions to subtle clues, right? First, they show Death's plan in a whole flash, and later you have to put together some little serial killer puzzle and figure it out. Get consistent, Death. Vodka, not nearly this flammable. It's not gasoline. And, her mug that is dripping vodka, we see a few drops hit on the floor. But anyone who's tried to light a line of gasoline knows that you can't even have any gaps. So there's no way you could light a line of vodka. And then it gets to the vodka bottle and explodes. No, it's vodka. It's not gasoline. And no way are kitchen knives that sharp either, where they're just going to fall tip down and then cut inches into you at all. They're going to stab you and then they're going to fall out. But they're not piercing through you like that.
Okay. I didn't realize I was supposed to be watching a documentary when I was watching this film, but okay, some things aren't realistic. That's kind of part of the charm. These are really creative kills. That's the point. The point is to instill fear in the everyday, the mundane, and have us looking over our shoulder what if we slip on this? What if we trip on that? That's the point, that anything can kill you through a series of events, these Rube Goldberg style kills. That's part of its charm. I think that's what makes it awesome.
I prefer Whoopi Goldberg style kills.
No, let him talk.
It's just making people watch Jumping Jack Flash, though.
Those are suicides, Your Honor. It doesn't count.
But Death is all powerful, right? He has almost no limits. So why break physics too? You're already asking me to suspend disbelief to belief that Death would pursue these people now, and that Death could turn a toilet faucet and leak all the blue liquid onto the floor. Okay. But then he can break physics and suck it all back up into the pipe. I've got to go that far to suspend my disbelief. And ultimately, why would Death do that? Why would Death cover its tracks like it does in that scene? It's Death. It's not a suspect on the police's radar. Just leave the blue toilet water there and make it it's fine if it looks like a freak accident. You're fucking death. Like, are you trying to frame Devon Sawa here? Like, why do you, it's, these FBI agents were left in here from clearly from the X-Files script that this originally started as. So that's why the FBI agents are still stuck in here, left over. And they've got to like keep suspecting Devon Sawa. That's why he's got to like suck the blue liquid back up to try to cover his tracks. It's so odd, and it doesn't make any sense for the motives of death to do. With that, the prosecution will rest and let the defense get some exhibits in.
Okay. I think it's an assumption to say that death is all powerful. It's just taking care of death stuff, so it does what it needs to do to make sure that that happens. I think it's an assumption that it's all powerful, so I wouldn't go that far in characterizing it that way. And the why cover their tracks, that's a little interesting. And you mentioned the original script. The original idea was that the deaths were going to look like suicides from survivor's guilt. So that may have been a hangover from that, like a leftover remnant of that original script.
Yeah, a lot of leftover remnants from prior scripts in this one. We agree.
Mr. Bangs has rested. Dr. Joe, you may proceed with any further argumentation.
Okay, I gotta get my glasses. Hold on. Okay, so the Final Destination movie, this first one and the rest, it transcends time and culture and has a mass audience appeal. And the reason for this is that it is not bound by any cultural beliefs or preconceptions or values or anything like that. Death happens to everybody. It's universal. It's a universal fear. And so it's not bound by something like a particular supernatural being or a particular like monster or bad guy. It can appeal to anybody. And also, it can appeal to non-traditional horror fans.
I was waiting to see if the judge was going to step in.
No, I'm not done.
Okay. If you're not done, then please go.
Yeah. So I think in going with the mass appeal, this can be more appealing to non-traditional horror fans who might avoid the horror genre entirely because of the interpersonal violence seen in slashers, but this doesn't involve that. So it is a little bit more digestible for those viewers. So people who do like the gory stuff can still be entertained by the creative kills, and people who don't like interpersonal violence can still be entertained by this as well.
I'd make an objection. You think the people who are offended by interpersonal violence see this as like a loophole because like death's invisible? I mean, a cord is still wrapped around a guy's throat in this, and he's choked until his like eyes turn bloodshot. It's really very violent, and even if you can't see who's doing it, it's clearly violence enacted. I would think it would still be very triggering.
Perhaps, but people who are, again, triggered in those ways might not seek out horror at all. But this is, a different kind. It's a new kind of horror. So
neo-slasher, some are saying.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Many people said that.
I've read that in the paper.
I would like to speak to the mass appeal because, as you said, this kind of knows no cultures, but not all cultures are bound to like a predestined fate or death. Not everybody believes that, here's your endpoint where you're supposed to be, that can then be turned off and avoided. So it may not be entirely universally relatable.
Well, yeah, again, it's not touching on the beliefs around death. It's the fact that everybody does die. That's what makes it universal, not what happens afterwards or how one feels about it, but it happens in every place.
Not if I'm reborn through Jesus. Checkmate.
Good one.
That's a good point, Dr. Joe. What do you feel about Jesus?
We can have that discussion offline.
Any further argumentation?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, dig into it.
The movie does a good job of balancing the scares and the surprises with genuine suspense. So because it uses the Rube Goldberg style to pull off the kills, it builds the tension. There are a couple jump scares. There's only 4, and 3 of them are mild compared to 1 being major. And the rest of them, we don't know upon first viewing how somebody's going to die. We think like, oh, is it going to be the knife? Is it going to be the whatever? It's like it goes and it stretches it out, and it prolongs that tension and suspense. And let's see. Sorry.
And why does it prolong it? I mean, especially with the teacher. Why does death not just have her die from the knives? Why does it then need her to explode? I mean,
because that's boring. That's what makes.
Well, you just said
exciting.
all he was doing earlier was his job, and now it seems like he's doing it for enjoyment, maybe.
Well, for the audience's entertainment, death doesn't know it's in a movie.
Death doesn't know there's an audience, though, right, Dr. Joe? Come on.
Well, I'm speaking to the audience experience of the tension building and suspense and the enjoyment. And that is still true on rewatch, because that can still stimulate the nervous system even more than just a jump scare that's just happens in a flash. We can still have tension because we're bracing ourselves for what's coming. So it has a high rewatchability on that side of things too.
Okay, nothing from Mr. Bangs.
No.
Okay, Dr. Joe, you may continue.
I don't know. Okay. So it has a strong legacy also. And like I said at the very beginning, they're doing a screening this very week, just a couple days from now. Obviously, it will have been in the past by the time this airs. But the point is that it's 26 years later and people still care. People are still excited. One of the writers, Jeffrey Reddick, is going to do an introduction and they're going to do trivia afterwards. So there's still a lot of energy around this. And obviously, it's produced a legacy with all the films. There's a 7th one in production. And it's been, like I said, it's been written about in books, dissertations, peer-reviewed journal articles. It's persisted.
I think you can say a lot of that stuff about The Room, too. I'm not sure it makes it a good movie.
Well, that's for the jury to decide. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
And I have one more argument.
Okay,
yes. So the practical effects, they didn't rely on a lot of CGI. There is a little bit here and there, but by and large, they rely on practical effects to do the kills. Like the opening scene was filmed on a gimbal. It made people nauseous because they were jostled around so much. So it's more realistic. And it didn't, they had full body casts for everybody, pretty much, like all the kills. So they put a lot of work into the practical effects to make it more authentic, more exciting, and less goofy looking with bad CGI. I
can't argue with that. I mean, less CGI is always good. We could have probably done with 0. I'd have been good with 0. It's 2000 after all. But yeah, no complaints about the practical effects I saw.
Awesome. That's all I've got.
Okay. All sides have rested their cases. The attorneys will now present their closing arguments. Mr. Bangs, you may begin.
Thank you, Your Honor. In lieu of a closing statement, I'd like to read a page from this unofficial, unpublished novelization I found on a bench in the courthouse locker rooms. It's titled Final Schlenstination, but I need to point out it was clearly originally titled Final Benstination, and someone has come through and crossed out Ben and written Schlen in its place. So it's anyone's guess as to who wrote this thing. Anyway, Final Schlenstination, Chapter 6, Page 6, Paragraph 6. There's a gremlin on the side of the plane, Ryan Luis Rodriguez shouts. Just then, the side of the plane tears open and the hideous creature reaches in and grabs Ryan, throwing him out 30,000 feet. He was next, you were right. Oh no, Ryan, look out, Big Ben says. Again, note that this character was originally named Schlenzo D, and someone crossed that out and wrote in Big Ben. Big Ben's rippling muscles challenge the physical limitations of his puny airline seat as he turns to look. Suddenly, the luggage rack above Big Ben breaks and falls on him. Luckily, he is 6'4" and very strong and can catch it. Unfortunately, the suitcase full of dumbbells and weights that he failed to check earlier means the rack is now 5 pounds over his maximum overhead press PR, and he's crushed instantly.
Victim weight, damn it.
Exactly. The cabin erupts into a panic as the plane enters a nosedive. Maynard Bangs cocksurely strides out of the airplane bathroom alongside the young blonde lady he was consulting with earlier. But as the plane lurched, Maynard slips on the comically outlandish hat he had been wearing before and tumbles ass over tea kettle down the aisle, landing on the barbarous spine of the platypus that broke out of its enclosure in the cargo bay earlier. Damn. The bailiff, he's also in this, by the way, he begins to choke on the complimentary airline haggis he's rudely requested from the flight attendants. Schlenzo D's luxurious golden locks float over his mansome shoulders like a river of gold over some shoulders. Okay. Taking a sip of his chilled Ginjo sake, he whispered, Jinsei wa ame, and smiles. Just then his seat explodes. Okay, why would they call it Final Schlenstonation if he gets killed off too? All right. A burning piece
the final one to get Schlenstonated.
I guess you're right. A burning piece of seat shrapnel goes flying at the face of... Wait, I have to turn the page. The real Mumbly Mumblerson, who wakes up at home in bed in a cold sweat. Okay, I think that's enough. Not guilty, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Bangs, for wasting the court's time. We really appreciate it.
I'm guessing it was Maynard who crossed out Ben and put Schlenzo.
Dr. Joe, please present your closing argument.
Okay, I'll keep it short and sweet. Final Destination has entertained generations for decades, both as a standalone film and as the beginning of a long legacy. In addition to being entertaining, it ushered in a new subgenre, the neo-slasher, and inspired filmmakers to try new things. The end.
Thank you all. Members of the jury, Mr. Dylan J. Schlender, that name sounds familiar. Mr. Big Ben Haslar, that also sounds familiar. And Mr. I'm Never Gonna Die, Ryan Luis Rodriguez. Actually true, by the way. You've all heard the facts concerning this case. It is now up to you to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. The bailiff will escort you to the deliberation room to render your verdict.
Right this way? I cannot wait to come across the Grim Reaper and tell him I've been dying to meet him.
As bad as the joke Tony Todd makes in this movie.
Is it? Oh, I guess.
Oh, you'll wake the dead. Why? Because he wasn't Scottish.
All right, everyone. Final Destination. I feel so sorry for first-time defender Dr. Joe here having to sit through Final Slenstonation and how do I thought it was pretty good. How do I defend against that? I don't know what that has to do with anything. Fun case. I had only seen the second Final Destination until last year when Bloodlines came out. Everyone seemed to like Bloodlines, so I watched them all, and I liked them for the most part. I did not like 5. 5 was terrible.
4 is the terrible one. 5 is great.
4? Which the Final Destination, whichever one that is. Okay,
that's
that
4.
one was terrible. And I don't remember some of the things Maynard was saying I would remember. I do remember the plane crash. I sort of remember the roller coaster. I don't really remember. I remember the NASCAR thing because it was terrible. I don't really remember any of these other ones. So I think it does kind of sit up there in my memory of...
You don't remember the log truck, really?
No, the log truck is number 1, which I had seen that before. And everyone references it.
That's
the
really
best
Maynard's
one.
point.
And Bloodlines is the second best one, if not the best. It's one of those
but
two.
We're not litigating the sequel.
Yeah,
here.
but right after that, it's the third one. Everything else is or the first one. After that, everything is forgettable.
Well, I think it's fair to consider the overall weakness in the oeuvre because both sides opened up the legacy of the films as an exhibit. So I think we can consider it.
Yeah, well, part of the point is what this inspired, and I do think that there is a lot here. They didn't nail it their first run, but they did propose an interesting concept that clearly is enough for other people to then come and play with.
Yeah, the bones are there.
Yeah, and I kind of they get it right in the way that death is kind of playful with these Rube Goldberg sort of things. Although Maynard is right, it doesn't need to clean up after itself. I hate that it does that. It makes no sense for it to do that. And Sean William Scott, I hate that guy. He does not belong in this movie. I don't hate him beyond this, but yeah, he doesn't feel like he is this character for sure. But yeah, I think there's a lot here that it sets up the right tones. Dylan, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking I wish this movie was a bit more interested in what death was doing. I think it was an interesting point that the defense brought up that an original treatment of the story was it was supposed to make it look like everyone was committing suicide. That's pretty interesting, and it definitely gels with the first death we see. But then it's obviously jettisoned like so many people sitting on an airplane out the...
It can be suicide, but if they were all doing that, it'd get repetitive after a while.
Well, and that's what draws the FBI's attention, ostensibly. So that's how that would work, especially as an X-Files episode.
No, but it works as it is. It's like all these people who survived are now dying.
It's like, why is death being so weird? What is the other forces at work?
Death enjoys its job, man.
See, these are all just assumptions that we're reading into the movie. We don't really know, and that's one of the things.
That's part of the fun, right? It's like it's something you don't know.
But no, it's not fun, dude. There's nothing fun about a guy slipping and getting strangled to death.
No, I mean,
juxtapose
part of the fun of guessing death's
Let
motives.
me finish, because you just said it's about having fun. That's not fun. That's brutal. That is a very graphic scene.
I didn't mean that.
Juxtapose that to Sean William Scott getting his head cut off flippantly. You know, like we're in two different movies with those scenes.
I meant fun to guess death's motives, not necessarily fun to watch the deaths get pulled off.
I mean, death's motives is we do have to die. The question is, why do we have to die? But the movie's not interested in that, so I can respect that to a point. It's just a little disappointing because the movie's not doing anything that like a guy in a mask couldn't be doing. You know, that's kind of one of the things here. So, and as much as I like the defense has some great arguments. I am also going to reject this whole neo slasher thing. Clearly, this is a stylized, sleek version of in the model of Scream in that mold. I don't think
it's not. Like the fact that the villain is so faceless, like this isn't Leatherface or any of these other people. This is like a whole new
who's saying anything about Leatherface? No,
he's been a guy in a mask.
Yes, exactly. No. That's Scream. That's why I said this could be a guy in a mask, but it's not. It's death. He's invisible. I'm saying that this is very much in the lineage of Scream. Like I don't think this started anything new. I think this is very much
Scream is meta, and it's like kind of like poking needles at
you had Scream slashers that spawned things like the other movies Maynard was talking about. Though I don't want to get bogged down at this point because it's ultimately not that important. I'm just saying, like, I don't think this started.
That's what makes this great. Nothing else can copy this without being Final Destination. You know, like if you had like Death coming in and doing these Rube Goldberg stuff, people would be like, "This is Final Destination," and they can't do it again because Final Destination did it. Whereas you can copy paste a masked killer with a different masked killer.
So you're saying every time it's like weird forces of nature, it's going to be Final Destination.
No one's tried it because I don't think anyone could say like, yeah, we didn't just like, you know, like we can't do death. So what else can we do with this concept?
Yeah, I mean, someone probably could do it better. I mean, like there's been like, I think Halloween's a very good mask slasher. There's some bad ones, you know, there's some good ones. Someone might be able to do this better, but it's not really here nor there for looking at this first movie. So my main point is that I just wish the movie was more interested in the things that makes the movie interesting, but it's not. But that seems to be okay with everyone else. So what are you thinking, Ryan?
I honestly think that as a film, this is the best of the series. Whereas I think in terms of a vehicle for deaths, I would probably put 6 up there. And definitely the log truck at the beginning of 2. That is...
Bloodlines.
Anytime I've seen a log truck on the freeway, I have moved.
You're one of those people
it freaks me the fuck out. I do not want to deal with that. But then I love the little light touches of this film, like naming every character after a horror director. Especially, I like that one of them is named after Val Lewton, which nobody old enough to watch the movie in a theater would know who the hell Val Lewton is. They know Hitchcock for sure. I mean, everybody knows Hitchcock. And I love that when the teacher is being murdered by death, they're playing the John Denver song, who famously died in a plane crash. That made me giggle. I don't know why specifically that made me giggle.
An ultralight, okay? Not really a plane crash per se. But it's...
Whatever. But
I'm in Ben's nitpick corner.
I honestly think this is a gem.
Quick quibbles!
So I'm willing to stick by it. Through, and I think the defense did a hell of a job placing it in a pantheon, and I do believe it is part of the neo. I mean, the neo slasher, I guess, would be the Scream influence stuff, but what comes after that, this kind of complete rejection of form that Final Destination possesses, I think belongs into its own special subgenre, and I can't say that about a lot of horror movies.
All right, sounds like we got our thoughts out. Ryan, you want to lock in first?
I will lock in, my friend. I'm going to go not guilty.
Not guilty. We've got 1 from Ryan Luis Rodriguez, Mr. Schlender.
I think there probably are ways to get this movie to guilty. But I don't think the movie, that's the problem, because when we look at intentionality, you know, it's not wrestling with those things, which is a shame because it should be. And even if we didn't hear about it tonight anyway. So I'll say not guilty tonight.
So it all comes down to me. I think the prosecution's right. Mythbusters can kind of have a field day with a lot of the way these deaths are pulled off. Some of them do strain credibility a lot. They kind of course correct in future installments. But I love how this movie just makes everything menacing. It's just like anything could kill you. Anything. The fan, like these little clickers at an airport, like everything is just like terrifying in this universe. I do like that it doesn't do CGI. Everything's very practical. And this death character using Rube Goldberg stuff, it's just so unlike any other series that I've seen. So I think it's very successful in what it attempted to do. We will make it unanimous and say not guilty. So let's go tell that very handsome judge.
Mr. Foreman, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. In the case of The People versus Final Destination, we find the defendant not guilty of being a bad movie.
Oh!
The verdict is so rendered. Given the case, the film is free to go, but everyone in the court is remanded to a very clever death. Court is adjourned.
I already gave everyone one.
I can't wait to see it. It's like, oh, that was the death I've been waiting my whole life for.
Hey, this is Life reporting to you from outside the Wheels of Justice. Sorry about my brother Death being a real jerk. I'm trying to save people and make babies, and he's killing everyone. Dr. Joe, would you care to share your thoughts on the jury's verdict?
I am so happy that you all made the right choice. I'm so happy. This was a lot of fun, and I liked hearing what you had to say during your deliberation too. This was great. Thank you so much.
That's great. And here comes Maynard Bangs. Well, you finally took your dad's advice and you got me. How do you feel about today's verdict?
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad that you're doing a sort of Norm Macdonald voice, because, as you know, Norm Macdonald voiced Death in Family Guy, so I'm sure that's exactly why you're doing it.
You can't hold that against him.
Not that you only have a few voices to do. I think this is fair. I mean, I'm a big fan of this series, but I would say that this case did bring this movie. If it didn't bring this movie down a little, in my estimation, it brought the rest of the series up a little bit. 3 is really good, and 5's intro is pretty strong too. So yeah, 4 is a little bit of a trip, but otherwise this is a pretty strong series. So, but I'd be happy to prosecute any of the rest of them. But I will stand. Scream started the neo-slasher genre. I'm dying on that hill. Thank you.
Well, no, you're going to stay alive on that hill. As long as you stay next to me, you'll be fine. Thank you very much. That's all we have from the courthouse today. Let's go back to the studio for post-trial analysis. This is Life. Over and out.
All right. Terrific.
Life was killed, then leaving the courthouse.
Man,
a unanimous verdict for a first-timer.
I gotta say, those movies are fun. But you know what's hilarious? The whole time I was thinking about Final Destination, I was thinking about Final Destination 2. And then when I started watching Final Destination, I was like, oh,
Where's the log truck? Where's the log truck?
Yeah, no, it's like everything I was thinking. Well.
Yeah, I watched all the intros to all of them, at least. And I did rewatch, I think, 3 and 4. But I watched all the intros to them.
My apologies, Maynard.
4 was, I mean, at least there was a white
3D.
There was a white supremacist who got dragged to death by a tow truck. I mean, that was pretty cool, and I think he was set on fire. So I didn't have that many complaints. Just kill people. That's all I care. So Dr. Joe, what keeps you busy when you're not here? What are you usually doing?
I am a co-host on the Felicity Was Here rewatch podcast, and we break down every episode of the 90s WB show Felicity. We dive into friendships, the heartbreaks, the never-ending Ben versus Noel debate, and all the questionable decisions our favorite characters make. We're currently recapping season 3, and we release new episodes bi-weekly on Thursdays. So if you're a fan of the show and want to do a fun rewatch, or if you've never seen the show, check us out.
Nice. I have never seen an episode of Felicity. Why should I watch the show?
So you can hear me talk about it?
No, come on. You gotta have some pitch. This is a show you've decided to do a whole podcast dedicated to. Surely you have something nice to say about it.
Oh, well, I argue a lot on that podcast too with my co-host, because she's more Team Nolan and I'm more Team Ben. So there's quite a bit of arguing that goes on. It's pretty exciting.
Everyone's Team Ben on this show.
Right. And we analyze it. I analyze it through a trauma-informed lens as a psychologist. So I sprinkle in some little pieces of information about character choices and motivations and things like that. So it's a lot of fun.
Does Felicity have a lot of trauma? I don't know her backstory.
She doesn't have a lot of trauma per se, but she does have some people-pleasing stuff that is rooted in some stuff with her parents. So it's not like trauma with a big T, but maybe a little T.
Ben's got trauma, though.
With a lowercase t and that rhymes with p.
Probably too much trauma to talk about.
Not you, Ben.
So, Dr. Joe,
save your trauma for your mama.
How many seasons of Felicity are there? So, like, how long's the podcast going to be once you're all said and done?
It's just the 4 seasons. Like it's her college year, so freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year.
Well, maybe she gets held back.
She didn't.
Things have been hard for her. So she did pull out of it. Okay, that's awesome. So what about your co-hosts? Who are they? Are they anyone I know?
The other 2 co-hosts are Heather and Melissa, and we all have full-time jobs. We just do this as a little passion project.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah, we get paid here. We're making Joe Rogan money here.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I didn't know if this was. I know there's a lot of podcast networks that we work with too, and I know you're friends with Brian, so I didn't know if you had any other co-hosts that I was aware of. But I guess not. That's cool. We'll become friends with them. How about that? We'll become friends with them, and they can come talk about trauma. Or do they not trauma? Is there one that's like specializes in comic books?
No.
You're all trauma? You're all
No, they're not all trauma. Melissa is a teacher and Heather is in PR, and she gave me the little blurb to read because I would have said some stupid shit if I just did it myself.
Yeah, you didn't even have anything nice to say about Felicity.
That happens a lot on the podcast, unfortunately. I call out everybody equally.
She's only ever spoken well of you.
So you're
that
like
makes
the
me nervous.
me of your show, because I hate movies.
I think Dr. Joe is nicer than that.
Probably. You can also overhead press a lot, I'm sure.
Yes, but not 5 pounds over. Then you're doomed.
That was great.
Now, remind us the name of the Felicity podcast and where we can find it.
Felicity Was Here. And just anywhere you find podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we're on YouTube. So
do you have
just
social medias, Instagrams?
Yeah, Felicity Was Here Pod on Instagram, and we've got lots of socials, but we're on Instagram the most.
Okay, yeah. There's too many of them now. They're all out there.
So many.
We'll try to get some more. Now, we always ask for recommendations from our guests for movies you think people should see. So, Dr. Joe, what is a movie you think people should see?
The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. And I was so excited that one of the characters is named after the director. And I would actually have a really good excuse to talk about The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari because I'm obsessed with this movie. I'm so excited. So I want everybody to watch it. And I'm so glad I have a platform to share that with everybody. Thank you.
I also sleepwalk and sleep in a box, which is difficult for me. I love Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, one of my favorites. Why is it so great? Tell us.
I don't know. It was so visually striking. I just like the way I felt. I was just so excited when I was watching. I'm like, wow, they really did that. Like it felt really different. It felt very unique.
Oh, well, definitely was. I believe that's the German expressionist style.
Yes.
And I believe it's the first murder ever depicted on film, even though it's done in the shadow. So it's done through shadow cast is how they got it. But I believe that is the first kill in movie history. Pretty sure. So
very cool.
I mean, plenty of them happen off screen, but they would just be like, someone would have just walked in. Oh, he died over there in that room over there. This is the first time they kind of show it, I guess. So, great movie. Yeah, one of my favorites. Now, if you frequented your local video store in the year 2000, you would have seen my Hecko Trecko Bendation this week on the shelf right next to Final Destination. They were released a month apart by the same distributor, New Line Cinema. It's 2000's Frequency.
Nice.
A New York detective in 1999 discovers a ham radio that allows him to talk to his deceased father 30 years in the past. The single most Stephen King-ish premise I've heard outside of a Stephen King story. starring person of interest Jim Caviezel as the son, and Dennis Quaid as his father, a veteran firefighter who's simply irresistible to the ladies. Together, through their cross-time link and the power of love, they aim to prevent a 30-year-old unsolved murder before it even happens. But could the information he shares with his father in the past have serious repercussions on the present? The answer is yes.
Oh, no.
Naturally, all this trouble could have been avoided if the characters in this movie saw the film The Butterfly Effect starring Ashton Kutcher. But, unfortunately, it hadn't been made yet. If only someone from the year 2004 who saw the film The Butterfly Effect starring Ashton Kutcher had access to a Magicam radio and could have warned them, oh no, it's all happening again. Actually, Frequency was written by Toby Emmerich, who would go on to executive produce The Butterfly Effect and Final Destination 2, 3, and Bloodlines, all the good ones. Frequency was directed by Gregory Hoblit, who also did another supernatural thriller I previously recommended, 1998's Fallen. Now, why do I think you should see it, Big Ben? To see Brooklyn Nine-Nine's Andre Brower prepare himself for the role of Captain Holt as a gruff NYPD homicide detective. And because it marks the feature film debut of a very young Michael Cera before he grew into his ears. If you want to check it out, it's currently streaming, apparently on Sling, so I think you're better off hunting your local bargain bin. Dennis Quaid, after all, you know.
Well, yeah.
So you've seen this one, Shalenzo?
This is a good one. I like that recommendation. It's good for today, too. It's
great for the kids, too.
Yeah.
It is.
Actually, the kids probably could do that one.
Yeah. And bring over Daryl. He'll love it.
Yeah, he's always looking to do things.
Yeah, got to keep him busy. Ryan, what have you got for us?
My truckomendation this week is one of the most interesting films of 2025, Bong Joon-ho's follow-up to Parasite, Mickey 17. Robert Pattinson stars as the somewhat dim Mickey, who, in order to escape a loan shark in the distant future of 2050, volunteers for an off-world colonization effort on an ice planet called Niflheim as an expendable, meaning that he does jobs that are potentially hazardous or fatal, and when he inevitably dies, is reincarnated in a 3D printer. This is definitely less Parasite Bong and more Okja Bong, but that's not a bad thing at all. Pattinson is particularly great, and it features my boyfriend Mark Ruffalo with gigantic fake teeth, giving a performance that can only be described as committed. Mickey 17 is currently streaming on what used to be Max.
I heard those were actually his real teeth, and every
like
other movie they're fake.
Story like that, definitely hitting some kind of bong.
Well, see, Dr. Joe is a favorite now. Boo, yes. Boo. I hate that. You don't get to go next now, Shalyn, so now it's Big Ben.
Ah, damn it.
Boy, guys, you know what kind of place death would have a field day in? A house with daggers. Maybe even more so if those daggers flew. So continuing in my walk-emendations, a journey into Chinese cinema, I give you House of Flying Daggers. Unfortunately, there is no actual house booby-trapped with flying knives like the title suggests. The House of Flying Daggers is the name of a resistance group trying to bring down a tyrannical dynasty, but there are actual flying daggers in the movie, lots of them, so hopefully you don't walk away disappointed if they fly away in a forest instead of a house. Director Zhang Yimou of Hero and Shadow fame proves once again that he knows how to craft a vibrant and beautiful moving image. These being some of the most gorgeous films I have ever seen. And no matter how silly or far-fetched the action on screen is, he finds a way to make it believable. Kind of like Sam Raimi can do it in those Spider-Man movies. The story is one of forbidden love, very Capulet and Montague, where the government soldier goes undercover to have a beautiful blind resistance member lead him to her group's inner circle. But we come to learn that many of these people are not what they seem to be. I do have some gripes about it, like how often men are trying to force themselves on Zhang Zi's character, yet they're still supposed to feel sympathetic towards them in the movie. It doesn't really work for me. Regardless, the rest of the film shines, saving its most beautiful punches for last.
Yeah, they're throwing the daggers, right?
Yeah, but not in a house.
Oh, wow. Really confusing.
Well, no. They represent the house of the experts who throw the daggers. You know, it's like...
Yes.
No, it's flying daggers, not throwing daggers. Flying daggers.
Well, that's just a little poetry.
I think flying has got to be self-propelled. We're going to have to look this up. We're going to litigate this. I don't know if you could throw something and consider it flying anymore. Maybe gliding. Anyway, I don't think we don't need to hear.
I don't know.
We don't need to hear Schlenzel's recommendation.
Are you sure, Maynard?
Dr. Joe, we could just skip Schlenzel's recommendation, right?
Leave me out of this.
All right, Schlenzo. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I took the opportunity to get in touch with my feminine side this weekend, that is to say weeks ago, and saw a chick flick par excellence, Wuthering Heights. That's right. First, we have to clear some stuff up. Yes, the dude is named Heathcliff, and no, it has nothing to do with the cat.
Oh,
with that out of the way, this movie tells the story of Edgar Linton as he deals with his cad neighbor, adulterous wife, disrespectful ward, and treacherous servants, all while trying to keep a textile empire together and provide a comfortable living for these very same people who are betraying him all the time. Alas, it would all be for naught as Mr. Linton's story ends in tragedy, but he's still more of a bro than is called for given his circumstances. Look, the sets are gorgeous, the costuming immaculate, and the cast all delivers in ways that are equal parts charming, funny, and dark. I had the luxury of seeing this in Mystic Luxury Cinema with my wonderful family. And remember my Heathcliff comment from at the top? That line killed in the men's bathroom after the show. So see it in theaters so we can send a strong signal to Hollywood. Margot Robbie is still a draw. She may not be aging at Halle Berry levels, but damn it, she still has a lot of love to give. Support your local library.
How long do the heights take to weather? No, don't tell me. I want to be surprised.
My
2 hours
doctor,
and 15 minutes.
my doctor says I can't get so weathered anymore. I need to cut my weathering down.
You really do. We're worried about you.
I like that we're now going to start, weighing movies by the reaction you get to jokes in the bathroom as you leave.
Hey, it worked for...
you'll do it like in a comedy club, get booed, and you'll be like, that killed in the men's room.
Exactly.
You're all jealous of my long, rippling hair.
Over his mansome shoulders. And with that, we are all out of the show.
That wasn't him. That was me.
You're right. Wow. No, I can't remember anymore. No, that was Big Ben. I literally can't remember anymore at all. So we are all out of show.
Thank God.
We want to thank our guest, Dr. Joe, for joining us. Thank you so much, Dr. Joe.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was a pleasure.
You're the one we're going to call to make us feel all right. We're going to have you back on the show very soon, possibly for Wuthering Heights or something else that's traumatic.
Nice.
And maybe some of the other Felicity hosts. We'll see, unless they don't like it. You see.
See what I can do. I'll put in a good word for you.
And we hope everyone else will join us again as well, as the reels of justice keep turning.
Count it.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Victim weight was right there, Ryan. It was right there. No, I do like Whoopi.
Please follow us on Twitter at Reels of Justice, Instagram Reels of Justice, and Facebook.com/Reels of Justice.